In a small town filled with the usual buzz of daily life, there was a little restaurant that many people liked to visit. It wasn't fancy or loud, but it had its charm. The scent of fried food and fresh bread filled the air, mixing with quiet conversations and the clatter of dishes. The place was busy, tables mostly full, and the sounds of orders being called out made the room feel alive. Through the front door, a woman stepped inside. She moved carefully, her steps slow and measured. A soft, almost invisible limp touched her walk, and she leaned slightly on a worn cane for support. Her face was calm but tired, as if carrying a weight only she understood. She wore simple clothes, blending into the crowd around her, hoping for nothing more than a quiet meal. The restaurant owner glanced up as she entered. His eyes narrowed for a moment, scanning her in a way that made the woman shift uncomfortably. She didn't look for trouble, she just wanted a seat, a warm meal, and a break from the day outside. Around her, the chatter continued, but a certain tension hung in the air, like the moment before a storm breaks. People noticed the woman with the cane, some with curiosity, others with unease. This small place on this busy day was about to become the setting for something no one could have expected. The woman slowly made her way to an empty table near the window, placing her cane gently beside her chair. She hoped to enjoy her meal quietly, but the moment she settled in, the restaurant owner's voice cut through the noise like a sharp knife. "Hey, what do you think you're doing here?" he shouted, his voice loud enough to turn heads. "You don't belong here, taking up space and acting like you're disabled when you're clearly not." The room grew silent for a heartbeat. People stopped their conversations and turned to look. Some frowned, others exchanged uneasy glances. The woman looked up, surprised and hurt by the harsh words. She didn't say anything. Instead, she kept her eyes calm, her hands resting on the table, fingers tightening slightly around the napkin. "Don't pretend to be disabled to get special treatment," the owner continued, stepping closer. "We don't need people faking to get ahead or avoid paying. This isn't a charity." A waitress paused nearby, her face showing discomfort but unsure what to do. Other customers shifted in their seats, feeling the tension but staying quiet. The woman's eyes flickered to her cane, then to the owner. She wanted to speak, to explain, but something inside her held back. She wasn't used to this kind of accusation, not from strangers. As the owner's voice rose again, she thought back to a day long ago. A sharp explosion in the dusty desert, the blinding flash of light, the heavy weight of loss and pain. She remembered the hospital room, the endless therapy and the battles fought inside herself just to keep going. Her disability wasn't a lie, it was earned with sweat, tears and sacrifice. The owner kept yelling, his words growing crueler. "You don't belong here, you're just using that cane as a way to get attention." Around them, the atmosphere thickened. Some customers shifted uncomfortably, some whispered among themselves, and the woman remained still, her calm barely hiding the sting of the insults. She looked at the owner once more, a quiet strength shining through the hurt. Though he had no idea who she really was, or what she had been through, she was determined not to break. The clash between them was only just beginning. The woman took a slow, steady breath. The room was quiet now, all eyes on her and the owner. She had stayed silent for too long, letting the accusations roll over her like cold waves. But now she knew it was time to speak. "I'm not pretending," she said softly, but with a clear voice that carried through the room. "I am a combat veteran. I served my country overseas. This cane isn't for show. I carry wounds you can't see, wounds from a war that changed my life forever." Her words hung in the air like a sudden storm. The restaurant fell into shocked silence. Some customers stared wide-eyed, others whispered to each other in disbelief. The owner's face turned pale, his eyes flicking between her and the cane resting by her side. You're lying," he stammered, his voice losing some of its anger. "That can't be true." She shook her head gently, her calm unwavering. "I lost part of my leg in combat. I came home carrying scars that no one here can fully understand. But I never asked for pity. I just wanted to eat in peace." A waitress standing nearby stepped forward, her voice firm as she addressed the owner. You owe her an apology. You had no right to yell like that, or accuse her without knowing the truth. Others murmured their agreement. The owner looked around, realizing that the whole room was watching him, waiting for his response. He swallowed hard, the guilt washing over his face. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I never meant to hurt you. The veteran nodded slowly. Words matter, they can heal or hurt. Today you hurt. The owner's eyes dropped to the floor. Denial still lingered beneath his apology, but it was clear something inside him was shifting. The proud, loud man was now quiet, facing a truth he hadn't expected to meet. In that small restaurant, surrounded by strangers, a powerful story had just been told. One that no one could ignore, a story of sacrifice, misunderstanding, and the deep need for respect. The veteran nodded slowly, accepting the owner's apology. Her voice was steady but carried the weight of pain she had carried for so long. Thank you for apologizing. It means something, but I want you to know how much your words hurt me. Not just today, but for every time someone assumes I'm less because of what I look like. The restaurant owner stood quietly, his head lowered. He had never stopped to think about how his words might affect someone like her. Someone who had sacrificed so much. For the first time he realized his quick judgments were rooted in ignorance, not truth. In the days that followed, the owner made changes. He reached out to a local veterans group and invited a few members to come speak to his staff. He listened carefully as they shared their stories, their challenges, and the reality of living with disabilities that were not always visible. He attended workshops about disability awareness and sensitivity, trying to learn what he had missed before. Back in the restaurant, the atmosphere began to shift. Customers who had witnessed the confrontation now greeted the veteran with respect and kindness. Some even asked her questions, eager to understand more about her experience. The staff too grew more thoughtful and aware, helping to create a welcoming space for everyone. The veteran continued to visit the restaurant, no longer just as a customer, but as someone who had become a quiet source of inspiration. Her strength and dignity touched those around her, reminding everyone that courage came in many forms. What had started as a moment of harsh judgment turned into a story of growth, for the owner, for the staff, and for the community. The incident became a lesson in respect and empathy, proving that sometimes the hardest battles lead to the most meaningful change. In this small restaurant, a moment of misunderstanding turned into a powerful lesson, one that reminds us all to look beyond what we see on the surface. Disabilities don't always come with signs or stories that are easy to understand. Many people, especially veterans, carry invisible wounds that shape their lives in ways we might never imagine. It's easy to judge someone based on how they look or how they move. But respect and kindness require us to pause, to listen, and to remember that every person has a story worth hearing. The woman in this story didn't ask for sympathy or special treatment. She simply wanted to be seen for who she truly is, a brave person who served her country and now lives with the scars of that service. Her strength lies not just in her courage on the battlefield, but in how she faced judgment with grace and dignity. And through her quiet bravery, she inspired change, not only in one man's heart, but in an entire community. This story is a reminder that empathy can break down walls built by fear and ignorance. When we open our minds and hearts, we grow as individuals and as a society. So next time you see someone who seems different, take a moment, don't rush to judgment. Instead, try to understand, because behind every face there's a story that deserves respect, and sometimes that understanding can change everything.